to show you a couple helpful tips as you are creating your high school musical event poster for our assignment and our practice working with posters. I'm going to go over the Google Draw document and the template that you will all work on and show you some helpful tools, and you can watch me kind of how I would approach this poster project, okay, and follow along with me if you need it, okay? So first you should watch the Getting Started video if you haven't already. This kind of has an overview of what our project is, and it also goes over some themes and moods and expectations of what our poster should look and feel like as inspiration for you guys. So first, remember that we are working as graphic designers, and we are working for Miss Keekley to create a promotional poster for Highland Park Middle School's production of High School Musical. Okay, we're using Google Draw. This is the template right here, and she has requested that we include all of this information. This needs to be on the poster, and we have to determine how it's organized and what stands out and what is a little bit smaller. Okay, remember, we're going to go over the 5 basic design rules. So your project should show, how you consider images, what fonts you use, how you handle the information, what is big, what's small, what is bold, what is not, what's most important, what do you want to draw attention to, and then color and layout. Okay, so I want you to pick a layout that's either in quarters, thirds, or halves. And if you need these resources, look for some inspiration, use these to model your project off. That is great too. Okay, so I am going to get going with the document. So the Google Draw template, this is what you're going to be turning in. And I'm going to go over some of the instructions. Okay, so, and you're going to be able to watch kind of how I go through this. Okay, so first steps, so everything in red you should at least read and listen to and try to figure out what it is asking you to do. So first steps says determine what layout you want to use. So do you want it separated in halves, quarters, or thirds? In order to do this, you can add rulers. If you go up and add a ruler, and we are working on 11 by 14 size, so 7 inches would be in the half, you can have a guide that is added. Okay, so notice that this guide right here is in quarters. That's because I've already created this for you. So as soon as you grab the rulers down, it's going to add that to it. If you want to change it, you can just throw the rulers back up to this spot in the page right here, and that will get rid of a ruler for you. Okay, so say you want to do thirds. Okay, maybe you want to do halves. Okay, but for now, I'm going to stick with quarters, so that'd be 7. Around here, okay, and then 1 at 3.5. Okay. Okay, so these rulers, they're not going to get in the way of your work, and they help you organize. So I'm going to plan on organizing the things on my page kind of according to these rulers here. Okay, so all right, step 2, find an eye-catching background image that fits the mood for the play. Use inspiration from the example images. Those were in the slides, and must use a Creative Commons image. You can also use a rectangle as a plain backdrop and fill it with a solid or gradient color. Okay, so I'm going to show you both of these. For images, you can just go ahead and use Google Images. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my examples and see what I want for maybe a background image. So looking at the examples, I think I'm just going to try to find a nice red curtain. That tells us that it's a play. It's kind of just a standard background for a high school musical. I think people will notice that. Okay, so I'm going to go type in red curtain background. And so remember, I'm trying to use a Creative Commons image. I don't want to take someone else's work. So what I can do is hit more, or tools, excuse me, and instead of, let's see, go into images, tools, and usage rights. So I'm going to click Creative Commons license, and this means that I can use these images and I can add them to my page without anyone being worried about anyone getting mad at me for using their work. Okay, so let me find a good image that I like. This one's not bad. Maybe I'll use this one. It's a little grainy, so that's something to think about. You don't want to use something that's too pixelated. And I want to look for one that's going to fit my template size too, because if I just kind of go off one that's too wide, I might have to make some changes to it. Okay. Let's just go with this one. I think this will work. It'll be a good standard one to go off of. Okay, so now let me insert it. And it is not really the right dimension, but I can make it work by enlarging it and cropping it. Okay, so let me do that. And I'm going to put it in the middle. And then click this button right here, which is crop, and now I can change the size of my image. Okay, so there's that. It's already kind of lined up at the bottom, so I don't have to worry about that. Grab the little black square there. Still off the page, still off the page. And then I'm seeing those transparent pixels, so I know I'm there. Okay, so there. Good enough for right now, okay? So next, I'm going to say that's good for me. I'm going to go on to number 3, which is organize the text from most to least important using font size and color. What information is most important on the event? What needs to stand out? So first, you can use this High School Musical logo, and notice it's behind my background. So what I need to do is right-click it, and then click Order, and I can bring this to front, or I can send the curtain image to the back. So if I click Order, Control-click, Send to Back, now my High School Musical is in front of that. Okay, so I'm going to use this as my title. Okay, so Disney's High School Musical Junior. Okay, so I am going to use that, so I don't need to worry about this one anymore. This is my most important thing. I want people to have their eye caught by this. I can get my grid back up too to double check. If it ever goes away on you, you just drag another ruler in. Okay, so I'm going to use just a little bit above the grid. I don't have to stay perfect with it, but I'm going to go this big for now. And if you need to zoom out, you can Control minus, Control plus to make it smaller. So actually, now that I'm looking at it, it's a little too big for my tastes. It might be helpful also to drag a ruler from the side. And we are at 11 by 14, so that is in the half as well. So now I know where my center line is. Okay, so High School Musical. It also says Disney, so I've made this little logo over here, so you can add the Disney logo. Okay, so next important information, I think it would be Highland Park Middle School Presents. Okay, so if I look at some of my examples from over here, a lot of the times, based on these examples, they're going on top of it, because this is who's putting it on, this is what it's about. So Trinity Middle School's production of High School Musical. I think I'm going to do something similar, and I think it should come before the High School Musical, so vertically. Okay, so if I ever need to resize, you can select a couple images at once, hit Shift, and then scroll down, grab a corner. Okay, so Highland Park Middle School Presents. I can use this. So notice that's not the font that I want to use. It's not really exciting, doesn't really stand out. And I think I'm going to want definitely it to be a little bit bigger. And right now it's highlighted, so I can remove that as well. Okay, so it's kind of boring. I can't see it really at all here. So what do I need to do to make it stand out? I could look at my color choices. Okay, I could look at my fonts. I can look at how big it is. But first, let me see. I want it to show up first, so let me change the color. And I've already used white. Let me try one of these, kind of more of a yellow here. So that doesn't look too bad yet. But the text, I think, could have a little bit more pizzazz, something a little bit more, I don't know, feels more like a play. So if you want to check out your fonts, you could try Alpha Slab 1, Lotto. I don't think Creepster would be a good one for it. Let's try Oswald. Okay, that's not too bad right there. And I'm going to go with Highland Park Middle School just to fill that space up a little bit more. Presents. Okay. Let me go a little bit bigger. Alrighty. So I'm going to set that there for now, just as an idea. I'm going to move on. And if I want to play with the font, I definitely would recommend, waiting until it was perfect. And I'm going to make that smaller. Okay, so what's next? Let's do our times. What time is it?